So back to Volume 2 of The Adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire, chapters 5 through 9, written by Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, Lady Doribel. So, going to go over parts of chapter 7 depending on the length of this particular one. So this, real quick, is the front picture. So this is my son, James Michael, my niece, Marissa Marie, my daughter, Lydia Louise, and that would be me, as you can see. So that was at Butterfly World in Florida. Whatchamacallit. After packing the Kia Sedona van and getting my children to then drive out to White Settlement from Carrollton in Texas to pick up my niece in the van, then to go on the trip towards Georgia after going to White Settlement, Texas, which those of you who choose to Google that, you can see it would have been easier for Susie Marie to drive Marissa over to where I was, but I had to go do that instead. Susie Marie Nichols Lopez refused to bring her daughter, Marissa Marie, to Carrollton because essentially she was going to try to guilt me into taking her son, Joseph Anthony Lopez, along with. And that turned into an argument. But I had not seen, nor had my children seen, not since in a happier-ish time since David, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen's husband, was graduating Air Force basic training at Lackland Air Force Base. I had to explain to Marissa Marie why we could not stop and this is not in any offense towards smaller gas stations, nor is it any offense towards smaller towns, but to ease the stress, I know what I look like, I know what my children look like, and I know what my niece look like. And to avoid any problems, I did what I could, and I had to explain that to Marissa because she was accustomed to living in Fort Worth in Texas, and so I had to explain that. But essentially just before leaving the state lines of Texas, I wound up finding out that Susie Marie Nichols Lopez did not give Marissa a camera to take any pictures. She didn't give her any money to spend while on the trip. She didn't even pack her a bathing suit. So I had to do all of that. Whatchamacallit, and it wasn't a big deal to me. It was just one of those, I didn't realize that I would have to, she didn't have one bathing suit. It's just like, okay. I'm taking her to Florida. Florida has, I did discuss going to the ocean, so did get that squared away for her, but, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez truly tried to guilt me. She truly tried to guilt me into taking her other children, meaning mainly Joseph Anthony Lopez, but also Brianna Marie Lopez and her baby. And it's like, no. I told you the reason why I was bringing Marissa is because I wanted her to be able to enjoy and have time to see things and expand her view of the world, to be able to see stuff differently, because you have chosen the way you have, and Brianna had her child that she needed to take care of, which I was not about to get in between that, because anybody who has has had a child with someone, you do not take the child across state lines. You know, if the person is alive and stuff like that, and not on a short notice, that no. And as much as Brianna was essentially relying on not just Marissa to raise her son, but then her son's baby daddy's mom and aunts, I was not about to get involved with that. No. I was not about. I was not about to upset the extended part of the family. No. I was not about to make them mad. And not at all. And so while, you know, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez tried to guilt me, it's like, no. I am not about to make Brianna's baby daddy's extended family that assists Brianna taking care of her child to be mad at me. Oh, no. No. I don't know the extended family, but what I do know is that I don't want to piss them off. And I recommend you don't either, because I don't see that going well. And Susie Marie Nichols Lopez continued to try to just, no, I'm not making them mad. I don't care if I make you mad, because realistically, but I am not making that, no. And if they, as in whoever the extended family is, were to ever see this video, I'm sure that they very much understand why I was like, oh, no, thanks for not, like, doing that, because Susie Marie Nichols Lopez tried to do that as I was picking up Marissa. So that side of that family would have not known until whenever they felt like telling them, is no. No, I am not. No, I'm not. I am not doing that. Nope. No, not at all. But yeah, she tried to guilt me, and it was one of those, yeah, how dare I do what I want to do with my own money? Yep. I mean, it's my money. It is. It's my time. It's my van. It's my vacation that I, made for my children and my niece. So, I'll do it as I choose, because it's my choice. And so she tried guilting me in all sorts of ways. It was one of those, yeah, no. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but you're not gonna get me to do that. And it was literally, well, fine, you just spend your money the way you want to. Oh, okay, I will. I don't need your permission to, but okay. At all. Like, whatsoever. But yeah, so got on the road and drove back from White Settlement, Fort Worth area to back through Dallas, because I had to go through Dallas in order to go to Rockwall. And I was like, really? You couldn't just, no? Okay, fine, yeah. But again, tried to get me to feel guilty about that. That I wasn't gonna, just, no. You're not gonna guilt me into something like that. So, I had arranged the trip with Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, who lived with her husband, David Osteen, who was in the Air Force, in Macon, Georgia, and Mary Evangelina's daughters, Sandra Marie Osteen, which Sandra was not biologically David's, and then Ariel Marie Osteen, I'm not certain whether or not that one was actually David's either, but that's on them to, figure that out. But, by that time, I had already told the family on, my dead ex-husband's side that I had returned the Bronze Star to the Army, And I do admit I already had told them that I had put the life insurance aspects in their names. I guess that's probably not a smart thing to do. A little late now, obviously, but nonetheless, whatchamacallit, Mary had gotten a bit of a temper tantrum because she tried to tell me that I didn't care about her brother when he died, and I was like, you're right. You are 100% accurate. Yes, like, you don't understand what I dealt with in that marriage. I have every right to be. I don't even have to be here right now. Like, I did not have to stop in Georgia. I could have just kept on going to Florida. Did not need to stop here. But, you know, I actually, you know, like David in comparison to you. And, and you know, I'll tolerate you. But, you know, I mean, realistically, it's for my children and my niece to get to know you. Then I don't owe you a damn thing. And she did not want to listen to that. She did not like that. So, you know, David showed up to the house, which at that point, it was a military housing area instead of apparently whatever house they were in prior to that. And David was like, hey, Susan, do you mind if I take James and Lydia on the motorcycle? So you got a helmet, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm fine with them, you know, it's slow, slow, and he's like, I know you're yes, I'm very protective, like, as I should be, but, you know, just saying. And so, you know, James and Lydia had a field day on the Harley Davidson, and it was just like, yeah, I'm watching. I'm watching. I mean, I know you're a safe driver. That's fine. That's fine. My children. Did you go above 20 miles an hour? Which he didn't, which is good. But yeah, so originally it was set up that was supposed to go to the Georgetown Aquarium. And I had told Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, I was like, yeah, they have a program where I can go volunteer and I get to, like, scuba dive with the whale sharks. And when arranging the plan to go out there, you know, months in advance, she was like, yes, absolutely fine, no problem. It's if you want to do that, you can do that, no problem. And then, like, right the night before I was going to go verify stuff, I saw her near my stuff, my scuba gear to be specific. I kept my regulator in a separate area. A cavern trip would explain that, and as that example, but I had kept it separate and in a different bag, and I kept that in the car. I could have brought it in, but I didn't. Probably a good thing I didn't bring it in. But I went in the room, and there was Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen zipping up my scuba big travel bag. And she was stuffing my BCD back, and I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, what do you want? I was like, just wanted to verify we're going to the Georgetown Aquarium tomorrow. And she was like, yeah, but you can't do that scuba dive thing you want. Your children don't need to see that. I was like, why not? And she was like, because they just don't need to see that. But my children have seen me scuba dive before. It's no big deal. They haven't seen me in, like, an aquarium setting, but they've seen me scuba dive. And she was like, they don't need to see that. They just don't need to see that. You know, just drop it. You're not gonna do it. But I want to. And the only reason why I made the trip extra long was so that way I could go scuba dive with the whale sharks. What, like, Patty won't let me go scuba dive with the whale sharks in the Gulf of Mexico in the flower mounds. Oh, go scuba dive with the whale sharks. Like, They're so cute. No, it's like, all right, evil stepmother.
But then again, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen also had a problem with the fact that, so David had a puppy mastiff.
And, I mean, he was like a year old, but he was still a puppy. And Mary could not stand that dog. And she said, it's not Elvis. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not a bloodhound, of course. It's a mastiff. There's a difference in size. Just gonna throw that out there. And so, David, it was funny. So David goes, I don't know how you are about dogs. This is before going in the house, well before that SCUBA type stuff. And I was like, yeah, I like dogs. I like bigger dogs, so you know what? And he goes, oh, well, oh, you got a mastiff. And so the mastiff runs out because wound up showing up around the same time to the house. And the mastiff runs up and he sees David and then he sees me and he runs up there and then, yes, you big old slobber buffin, yes, you. And there's a specific couple who has a Rottweiler that would know exactly what I did with that baby mastiff and just, yes, you big old puppy dog. And David was like, that's my dog. Oh yeah, go to David. Go ahead. Go say hi. And then the mastiff, I don't remember what his name was, he just looks at me, he's like, play? I was like, go say hi to David. He apparently got home from work and was expecting you to greet him and not me. He said, go ahead, go. And the mastiff just kind of looked at me and he's like, really? Like, go, like, I'll go outside and have a cigarette. I'm not going to be around for that conversation. Like, I'm not gonna. And so David was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's my dog. And I'm like, it's not the first time. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Because at that time, I was dating a guy who had a golden retriever. And it was funny because that particular male was like, oh, well, Bo is my dog. And I was like, yeah, huh? Bo, oh, yeah, huh, yeah, Bo, yeah, okay, And so then there were a few times where he went into the back part of his house and Bo runs over to me and, oh, yes, I know, yes, you should be baby, yeah. Better get off the couch, he's coming back. And jumps down and he sits down right in front of me, looks at the guy and just like, I was just, look, I'm petting him. I thought you said he was your dog. And no. And after the first time I met the Bo, the puppy dog, whenever I went over the house, that guy was like, I have to fight him to stay inside. Like, usually why does he like you better than me? I'm like, I'm not going to explain that. Just going to remind you of a poofy fish and Lady of the Beasts. And so that's all I'm going to say.
That's it. And so, little mastiff, the mastiff was about the size of Ganesh at that point.
I was like, yes, you be. But yeah, David was just like, really? He only knows, like, none of the, really? I'm like, yeah. And so then it was funny because throughout the week, it was one of those, and just to test, just to say, and right there, I'm like, yes, you good boy. Go back to David, he's mad at you right now. It is what it is. And so, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen at some point in time, before going to the Georgetown Aquarium, she she had seen me come out of the shower, and I had the towel wrapped around me as I was going to the room, and she goes, ugh, do you really have that many tattoos? Yes, I do. Thanks. Yeah, I do. I do. And I went to go and finish getting dressed, and David and Sandra, Marie, and Ariel were in the living room watching TV, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go get dressed, that's all. And she was like, I can't believe you have that many tattoos. I was like, I do. Helps my memory. She was like, do you need a tattoo to remember your children? I was like, no, but I have ones that symbolize them. They are like partially for memory, but they are also partially spiritual. Each tattoo I actually meditated the entire time. So, excuse me. Ugh, you're disgusting. How could you look like that? Because I do. Okay? Thanks. Let me go get dressed. Ugh, I can't believe, you were ever married to my brother. And it's like, yeah, you and me both. I can't believe I was married to him either. But, hey, he was my ex-husband before he died. So at least there's that. And went into the room and finished getting dressed because it was one of those, the amount of people that I've gotten grief about my tattoos because of it's one of those, yes, I know I have tattoos, thanks. Got them. Got the bill for each one of them too. Paid for them out of my own money.
Nobody else paid for them.
Just saying. And they're in my skin, so, just throwing that out there. Not like I don't know what, I have in my flesh. Don't need anybody to remind me. No, I'm not like the prettiest person to look at. Okay, that's fine. I never claimed to be. But you also don't have to look at me in disgust either. Okay? Just saying. Do that on my own. Thank you very much.
And so, the Georgetown Aquarium.
My children and my niece, Marissa, as well as the other two nieces, Sandra Marie and Ariel Marie, they had fun. And I was just one of those, hey, James and Lydia, let me show you something. And, while they were doing their stuff, and we went to this one area with the whatever fish were there, and I was like, watch this. And a few fish just come out from the very, very back behind the filter, and they just come out like, see that? And they're like, whoa, Mom, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I have a way. I have a way. Just. And they were just like, Mom, oh my God. And I'm like, watch this. And then I was like, okay. And one of the fish from a diagonal corner, they were expecting another one to come out from the same area. One comes right over and just sits right here, but like in the aquarium, and just on my shoulder. I'm like, hey, what are you looking at? And they look up. I'm like, you're supposed to be looking at this guy. And they look up. They're like, Mom, there's a fishy. It's like, yes, it's a fish. Yes, it's a fish. That one's a fish. But yes, there are fishies. And they're just, oh, Mom, how'd you do that? I have a way. I have a way of doing things. It's a little different, but it's a thing. And so we then, went through different areas. I was like, hey, look, watch this. So there was one of the fish way, way towards the top, and I'm like, watch him. And they were like, okay, what's he doing? I'm like, hold on. And so that fish wound up flipping upside down, coming down directly to where we were, swam off to one side, came back, and stopped right in front of my children. I was like, yeah, you like that? It's a baby shark. Yes, it's your baby shark. It's your little baby. And I was like, Mom, how'd you do that? Oh my God. I was like, well, you know, I have a way. So I was like, yeah, okay, Mom. Never did find the whale sharks though. Never did see them, but I don't know why. But I didn't get to go through the whole aquarium either. But that is what it is.
But before going into the next aspects of
that, when I had Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen had known that I had booked 2 different scuba dives, and so when on the Boca Raton scuba dive, which I'll get into in the next chapter, the diver I was with had said, hey, when we had surfaced, after we had surfaced, he said, you've got bubbles coming out of your back. You know, it was when we were surfacing. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I don't need the air to keep afloat. That's, I mean, yeah, the BCD isn't meant for a life preserver, but, you know, I mean, I know how to wait until the boat gets up. I'll be able to keep myself above water. I know how to do that. I've had a little bit of practice beforehand. And so he was like, and we went with the current, we went down, but yeah, especially after the scuba dive at the Vandenberg, but point being, the one at Boca Raton was like, there's like a lot of bubbles coming out of your BCD. And I'll just switch it out. I have to, you know, better to have too many things as far as my gear is concerned than not enough. So, and I took my BCD off. There was a slash in the back, and I was like, well, I don't know where that came from, but whatever, and go and put it in the bag and switch out the BCD for the other one. And that guy was just like, well, you know, okay. We talked for the surface interval and whatnot, but yeah, after the Vandenberg dive, especially when getting back to Boca Raton, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and then Susie Marie Nichols Lopez both complained until I would go to Alabama, which I had no problem going to Alabama. Certain areas, but understandably so. But they complained, and it was just one of those. We could have gone one in Georgia. Didn't have to like go all the way to Florida. But okay, fine. Guess I'll go. Seriously. And so instead of going to Steele, Alabama, from Macon, Georgia, when checking out from Boca Raton, Florida, made the trip to Steele, Alabama. Those of you can Google the difference. And so instead of just going straight, you know, through the bottom portions of, you know, Georgia and Alabama and, you know, Mississippi and Louisiana to get to Texas, instead, you know, had to go to Steele, Alabama, and then go through Kentucky and Tennessee. And not that there wasn't a lovely drive, it was just you could have done that one in Macon. Just saying, in Macon, Georgia. It's a lot closer to Steele, Alabama than Boca Raton, Florida to Steele, Alabama, and then to Texas. Just saying. It's like extra 8 hours just to get to Steele, Alabama. But, you know, then my children and my niece got to see their great-grandma in Alabama, as well as their great uncle Tony. But yeah, even Tony from Oklahoma wound up having given me a call to be like, it's like, why couldn't this happen before going to Florida? I mean, I'm just I'm just saying, fine, I'll do it, but understand I'm not doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for my children and my niece and great grandma Nichols and great uncle Tony, not you guys. Yes, you technically guilted me into it, but I'm doing it for those two and then the children because, great grandma Nichols, a little bit older, and great uncle Tony hadn't seen him in a while. And so, because I had seen him when I was pregnant with my daughter. And so, that whole aspect with Chandler Mountain. Again, I have done my Medal of Honor art project from 2014 to 2018, or technically 2019. But I've been through hundreds of cemeteries well before completing my Medal of Honor art project that I started. I would not get out of the car at Chandler Mountain, and it was not a cemetery. I dealt with the conversation, and I refused to get out of that car. I refused to. Absolutely not. At all. Nope, did not get out. I dealt with what I dealt with, and I did not get out of the car. And, but yeah, then I wound up, my children and my niece wound up being able to meet their second cousin who was staying at great grandma Nichols' house with great uncle Tony. And real quick on that before I end this video, go to the next one. So the whole family knew about the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. When we showed up to Steele, Alabama, great uncle Tony was like, "Oh, it's been a while, I haven't seen you in a while, da-da-da. I heard you got into scuba diving." I'm like, "Yeah, well, where'd you go?" "Well, told him about it because he's a former Marine during Vietnam, and we were talking, and then I was like, yeah. And then, I went to can you believe that scuba diver did not see me at the bottom of the ocean, great Uncle Tony, next to the Vandenberg?" And he looks at me, he goes, "Oh my God, you had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with the fact that my scuba diving buddy did not see me at the bottom of the ocean next to the Vandenberg." Can you believe that? He was just like, no, I gotta go to my room and make a phone call. Oh, okay, well, good seeing you, Grandma Tony. And I was like, all right, well, that's different. Yeah, saw him before, but okay. But then, the cousin, or the second cousin, he goes, "Oh, you're from the city." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And he goes, "Well, I got something to show you." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "Have you ever heard of a black light?" From a teenage male. And I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of a black light before." He goes, "Let me show you something really cool in my room." Okay. I know what I'm gonna see. And so those who know what black lights do, and then in reference, to that teenage male bedroom, yeah, you go here, and then just, police crime unit would understand. I cannot unsee this. Okie dokie then. Well, Yeah, that's what okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Great Grandma Nichols, do you think I could sleep in a different room? No, you can sleep in there. He's got a bunk bed and an extra bed. Okay. Alright. Yeah, that's a nightlight, alright. Lots of little nightlights all over. Yep. I understand, I get it. Oh, there's a computer right there. I wonder why. Yeah. Looks like the galaxy, irony. Yeah, from far away, kind of looks like the galaxy in certain regards, because not a star without a star. Alright then, okay. Not a wall. Oh, the furniture. Okay. Yeah, teenage male. And so, but then went back to the state of Texas. But at that time, I had not received a phone call from the male that I was dating at the time.
Or a text message, and then by the time I did, then it was not the most nice.
So anyway, that's the end of chapter 7, volume 2 of The Adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire, chapters 5 through 9 by Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, Lady Dory Bell. Got a few names.